Washington, D.C., December 2005, finals week at George Washington University. By now, most people here have already acquired some prestigious internship.
I have an internship with the National Defense Resource Council.
Well, basically what I do is I work for the Council on Competitiveness.
On submarine navigation control systems, and I'm going to be escorting a Chinese delegation here.
Right now we have a bill on the Senate floor.
So it's a high-level delegation, so I have to do a lot of work and go to a lot of meetings with officials from the U.S. and then from the Chinese embassy.
And I think that if it weren't for me, the American economy would probably fail.
These are the future leaders of America. I, Brian C. Herscher, am something else. For starters, I prefer the soft feel of board shorts over Dockers any day of the week, fruit juice over Starbucks, and the amount of money most people spend on a pair of boots here well exceeds the amount of money I pay for rent. As a result of the feeling of alienation, I was very excited about studying abroad. I wanted some place where people would be friendly and caring, and not measure success in terms of how much money or power they have. Sure, it would be cold, but it's like Jimmy Buffett once said, paradise is a state of mind. I put his theory to the test by pretending I was in Hawaii, surfing and drinking guava juice. Apple and or pear juice? Communists. And with that, I closed down my hopes of study abroad. Screw you, Jimmy Buffett. But then, something strange happened.
Come to Hawaii. Aloha, Brian. We've been waiting for you. You always come to visit, but you never stay. This time, get to know the islands. I have a website for you. Live, work, play, study occasionally. Don't worry, I took care of all the details. You have 3 days of classes and 4 days of weekend. Mahalo, Brian. We're waiting. Melikaliki maka.
So my mission was laid out for me. I've always wanted to do this, but was unaware it was even an option. I mean, most normal people study abroad outside the United States. I want to learn 3 things in the next few months. What is the difference between visiting and living in Hawaii? Second, can I teach myself to surf, or will I be mistaken for a seal and eaten by a tiger shark? And third, do cookies really cost $5.50 a box?
Cookie! Nom nom.
Initially, at least, I had unlimited funds from the bank of Dad. I went deep sea fishing, and I even reeled in a blue marlin. A big blue marlin. Unfortunately, it got lucky and escaped at the last minute. You can't see it well under the water, but I'd say it was about 800 pounds. I also got posh living conditions in an outrigger hotel. Eating at fancy restaurants, we even got umbrellas in our drinks. Coconut shrimp and fried calamari were commonplace. Unfortunately, with the departure of those who were subsidizing me, everything became radically different. The hotels where tourists stay are usually clean and comfortable with, for example, maybe some windows and some closet space to hang up your items. These are things that are generally accepted as necessities to the visitor. That's the visitor. For me, it was different. It's not that we were all that messy. It's just that there really wasn't any place to put anything. It's also incredibly hot. However, to save on energy costs, we never use the air conditioning. Instead, we crank over, well, I guess you can call them windows, and subsequently we hear everything while we're trying to sleep. The place is literally falling apart. I am, however, 3 blocks from the beach. This is the price I pay for that privilege. The cocktail shrimp days seem long gone. Tourists in Waikiki are willing to pay 5 times as much as an item is worth. This is called the ABC effect. There is, however, one oasis that provides me with the sustenance to survive. Whereas at ABC, a tiny box of novelty cookies is almost $5, at Walmart one can acquire a regular pack at mainland prices. Unfortunately, there's no produce section, and I don't think guava juice counts. Buying fruits in Hawaii might come as quite a surprise. Washington, D.C. is 2,000 miles from Costa Rica. Waikiki is about 15 miles from the Dole Plantation. Which pineapple costs more? Well, you'd be surprised. The one in Hawaii is almost $2 more. If the cost of land weren't as high, a lot more could be accomplished. I decided that it might be good to put my adventurous nature to good use. For 20 years, I've been single for Valentine's Day, and 2006 was no different. I, however, was clever, and decided to enter a Valentine's Day biathlon. Teams had to consist of 1 guy and 1 girl, a runner and a swimmer. Finding a girl willing to run 2.5 miles was easy. However, this implied that I would have to swim a kilometer in the ocean, having never swam competitively in my life. Race day. Somewhere in that flood of runners is my teammate, Miss Caitlin Jolta. Looking strong the entire race, Caitlin barreled into the exchange area faster than a drunken Marine on a moped. Let's be honest, the exchange is the reason why I signed up for the race. Teams had to transition with a kiss. Game time. Following the advice of a friend, I swam like a lost fish searching for the love of its life. The finish was especially close. I got up too soon, and while the fat man in a Speedo next to me continued to swim, I attempted to outrun him. While this fat man tried hard, and his aerodynamic suit was surely to his advantage, he could not defeat the overwhelming strength and determination of Brian C. Hersher. With a 15th place team finish locked in, I had one thing on my mind. Food. Let's get some food and shirts. Speaking of food, I found that my account was really being drained by all the food I was buying. I had to do something. The contest was free, and I decided to enter. I was never a big musubi eater. I figured I had better at least practice once. So I picked up 2 at 7-Eleven and dug in. It's harder than it looks. They're quite heavy. It took me a while just to finish off my 2, and the contest only allows 5 minutes. I told myself that I won't be buying breakfast on the morning of the contest, and I only get to eat what I finish in 5 minutes. The contest musubi was much nastier, but as it turned out, I was a finalist. I acquired the following items, all free of charge. Mama would be proud. That same day, 2 hours later, I was on an airplane bound for Hilo, where I would soon be running in the Big Island International Marathon. This 45-minute flight would transport me to a whole different land. No huge resorts, no tour buses, no cab companies with more than one cab. Linking up with a stranger from San Francisco, we went snorkeling at Richardson Beach Park and saw not one, but 2 sea turtles. My impressions of the Big Island immediately skyrocketed. Now, for some background on the Big Island International Marathon. The 2006 race would turn the running world upside down. The race was supposed to be a fight between 3 elite runners: Jason Thorpe, the 2-time defending champ, Kazuki Watanabe, a Japanese Olympian, and Ash Dustow, the challenger from Honolulu. It was fully expected that the winner would be one of these 3. Pele had something else in mind. Race day, 5:30 a.m., heavy downpour. Parks near Hilo Bay are flooding. There are flash flood warnings all along the coast. The race is postponed 15 minutes. Okay, here we go. The rain is to my advantage. The rain is to my advantage. The rain is to my advantage. The rain is... it's really hurting my face. 10 miles. Be patient. Not even halfway. The race has barely begun. Pele, or whoever is in control up there. I don't want to slip and die. Oh, and also, while I'm at it, I pray that it's all you can eat spaghetti night at Ken's House of Pancakes.
You're number 4!
4th place, like, overall? Wow. I just need to hang on to this spot for another 11 miles, and I've got a 4th place finish. 11 miles. Status check. Leaked, hurt like hell. Shoes, probably of trench foot. In place, somehow I'm in 3rd. Just gotta hold on. So hungry. Spaghetti night, spaghetti night, spaghetti night. The faster I run this thing, the sooner I can eat.
And Andres Padilla crosses the line, the winner of the 9th annual Big Island International Marathon. Not too far behind, with the commanding lead is Ash Dustow of Honolulu.
Wait a sec, I heard they have free beer after this race, but I'm underage. They have no way of knowing. Let's go.
Drink beer for breakfast.
Hold on, folks, don't collect your bets yet. The 3rd place runner is closing fast. Number 71, Brian Herscher of Honolulu can fly. What a kick. He has now just overtook Ash Dustow and is now in 2nd place. He stretches his lead. No one will catch him. Brian is only 20 years old.
Oh well.
Congratulations, Brian. Brian ended up with a 3:01.42. A 3:01.42 for Brian. A time of 2 hours, 58 minutes and 49 seconds from San Isidro, California, Andres Padilla III. Congratulations, right up there. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, our champions. Big round of applause for our champions. Congratulations.
As a final gesture of appreciation for the hospitality that was shown to me on Hilo, I threw my pua kini kini lei into the bay. In nature's last irony, the day after the race was completely clear. From there, I returned to the concrete jungle of Waikiki. From my race, I acquired $50 worth of chocolate. Mama would be proud. You would think that being stuck on an island for spring break wouldn't be a bad thing. Lots of young, beautiful bronze people lying around at the beach, hot surfer girls. Paradise in the sun, right? Well, minus the sun and add a little rain. 44 days of it.
Millions of gallons of raw sewage being dumped into the Ala Wai because of a sewer line break.
Thank goodness the current's going the other way. Let's just hope it continues to go the other way. But the city's worst fears came to pass today.
Paula, the change in ocean current caused that raw sewage to drift here to Waikiki, and that's why there are warning signs posted at various beaches, including this one here at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, urging people to stay out of the sewage-contaminated water.
Hawaii's weather woes are far from over. Bacterial counts over the last 4 days have been extremely high.
But only today released the results to the media. The EPA's acceptable level for bacteria is 7, but at some spots the counts have been in the thousands.
A record number of emergency weather warnings.
Since February 19th, the Weather Service has activated the emergency system 125 times for flash floods, severe thunderstorms, even a tornado, and that, they believe, is a record. The state had planned a big PR blitz for this week to tell national media outlets that the sun had returned here to Waikiki and other visitor destinations in Hawaii. Problem is, it is still raining, so that PR blitz is on hold.
The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked.
On the last day of spring break, we were expecting more thunderstorms and flash floods, but something strange happened. It was as if God himself gave Mother Nature a swift kick in the ass. For literally a month, I'd wanted to go for a walk to Leonard's for some malasadas. With the end of the rain, I could finally bask in their glory. Leonard serves them warm and messy. And the best part is, the cashier undercharged me. If there is a heaven, it probably looks like Leonard's on that fateful day. It was my understanding that it was unsafe to go into the water, yet people didn't seem to care. I mean, rain makes the water murky as it is. Murky water means sharks. Sewage spills mean brown sharks, if you catch my drift. Tell me a story. Yeah, about it.
I'm bored.
Think we have infections?
No, all the sewage that was here is now in Waikiki.
We shouldn't be in the water.
Yeah, like, whatever.
I'm telling you, there's poop.
Poop only stays on your side of the buoys.
Kids, poop doesn't discriminate from buoys. Stay out of the water. Don't get streptococcal disease like me. See what I tell you, the water's totally clean.
That's what you think.
Oh God, the Ala Wai.
Toxic. He's alive, but get him to a hospital.
Why's that? I smell like poo.
48 million gallons of sewage. With the end of the rain, the dirty ocean was such a tease. The lack of being in the water was giving me twitches. Then I realized that I didn't have to accept being stuck in Waikiki. I could go places that were unknown, and more importantly clean, at least for the time being. I mounted my trusty Kmart flyer and prayed the pedals wouldn't fall off. Again. I went past the now flammable Ala Wai Canal. Circled around Diamond Head Crater, and then down the length of Kahala Road, past some of the most expensive homes on the entire island. Believing that the sewage might reach this part of the island in a matter of days, I could not waste time. For some unknown reason, I've always hung out with girls. There comes a point, I guess, when I decided that I didn't want to do things alone anymore. So I went out with friends, and my friends just happened to be girls all the time. Hawaii was no different, and combined with the fact that the girls and I felt as though we hadn't done enough on the island yet, we decided to go on our own little adventures and hikes.
Alicia Collins. Tiffany Phelan. Stacy Burry. Caitlin Jolda.
Our first trek took us to Manoa Falls, a relatively short and easy hike, but interesting nonetheless. It's considered the second most popular hike on Oahu, and even still it wasn't really all that crowded. Swimming was not allowed, but with all the bacteria on this island right now, I can't say that swimming was especially high on our list either. So, we just decided to head back. It's like an old Chinese proverb, you know? It's more about the journey than the destination. The following week, a few of us trekked the Wa'ahila Ridge Trail, which begins high in the Ko'olau mountain range. It looked more like Northern California, or even Maryland, than Hawaii. It is certainly not a hike to attempt if it is wet, which for the Ko'olau range is 90% of the time. I guess we got lucky that day. It is significantly more challenging than hiking to Manoa Falls, with all sorts of interesting obstacles, but never underestimate the determination of the Kaiulani crew. And it is still my firm belief that somehow it was uphill both ways. Eventually we reached some vistas where we could see all of Honolulu. But then the trouble began. Something was watching us. It sounded big, fierce, searching for blood. And at the end, when the chickens started closing in on us, we knew it was time to go. One Monday, I decided to go on a little adventure of my own by braving a trail in the Lanakai Hills on the windward side of the island. This trail was significantly different, mainly because it was rather vague. Often I would end up at a fork and have to guess, and I probably guessed wrong considering that I ended up in a bunch of dense foliage. It's at times like these that I'm really glad that I'm getting allergy shots. For putting up with it all, I got some quite stunning views. And after arriving at what I thought was the top, I realized that I had somehow scaled the farthest peak, a long way from the old World War II bunker where I was supposed to be. It would be yet another long, arduous, general pain-in-the-Okoli kind of hike. But I am Brian C. Hersher, and never quit. I set off along the ridge, getting great views at the top of every crest. I finally arrived at the bunker, and just in time. All hell broke loose, caused by an invader of monstrous proportions. Wahoo Command, this is Echo Foxtrot. We are being overrun. Repeat, we are being overrun.
Roger, Echo Foxtrot, we have visual. Enemy is crossing H1. Enemy is harassing Japanese tourists.
Duty-free shopping is over. Everyone out! Everyone out!
It's Godzilla!
There goes my vacation.
Run for your eyes, it's coming down Karakawa.
Take a picture of that.
I held my stuffed bear close for the rest of the night and vowed to never again eat so much chocolate right before going to bed. Nothing is more important to Hawaii than good old Spam. One of my personal favorite Spam concoctions is known as a Spam musubi. They can be purchased at 7-Eleven for $1.09, but I thought I'd try making my own one day. Caitlin and I attempted it all from scratch, having no knowledge of actually how to make them. I'd like to consider myself an expert chef, especially the genius that was employed to create a brick of rice using a can of Spam. This preparation for my birthday all began on the 29th. Now, I had to start a day before because we all know how I go to church on Sundays, right? Right. Anyway, I had 2 goals for the night. 1, don't die, and 2, don't get pregnant.
Got that.
It was perhaps an unorthodox beginning. Spam Jam, the world's largest Spam extravaganza. I, however, decided to eat something more of substance and got a plate lunch at L&L. Then, the festivities began. There was dancing, but no romancing, except to the porcelain princess. Overnight, I had entered a world which would change my life. I felt older, wiser, and poorer. Marathon endurance is always key in surviving 21st birthdays. I got up and rallied to the hideaway in a back alley in Waikiki for some Pabst Blue Ribbon. I do all I can to help my home economy in Milwaukee. Now, initially it was believed that the sewage spill would only affect Waikiki and surrounding beaches, and it would not be long before it dissipated. That is what the officials wanted us to think. It is my belief that the government is not in fact run by locals, though, but rather by tourists. And as a result, I was extremely skeptical. How could beaches subject to nearly 50 million gallons of sewage reopen after just 4 days? As it turns out, I was probably right. Persistent rain on the windward side resulted in further contaminated runoff, closing beaches in Kailua and even stretching to the North Shore. While the waters down to Kaina Point were deemed safe, there tend to be many sharks in the water there. And then down along the Waianae side is a whole nother problem. So this leaves Pearl Harbor, where the Arizona has been leaking oil into the water since 1941. I think this more than anything led to my first case of island fever. The island is not large to begin with, but I can only ever hope to really go 20 miles away from where I stand. Now technically one does not need a car to get around the island. I have a bus pass, but the bus is something I will get to later. And actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about the bus right now. The bus, better known as the bus, is Oahu's public transit system. It has been voted as the best mass transit system in the United States multiple times. Sounds great, right? It's a lot of shishi is what it is.
Aloha. Welcome aboard.
I don't know how the bus got ranked so high, but I can only suspect that a bribe and some candy were involved. Timetables are useless when you wait for a bus that was supposed to come 2 hours ago, and once on, don't expect a pleasant ride. You'll be crammed in, defying the laws of physics.
Major transfer point.
So as you sit there with a homeless man picking at his feet an inch from your face, you have to be thankful.
As a courtesy to boarding passengers, please exit to the rear doors.
Because at least you're sitting down.
Kalakaua and Makaloa. Dae.
But the bus stops seem to attract crazies as well. These are often memorable experiences.
At least the other street people don't.
I know, I feel like I'm stenching.
The smell is coating my body.
It smells like death.
I feel like I need to go to church.
Thanks to the bus, I have been late to class 27 times, and have wasted an estimated 38 days and 15 hours of my life. I want that time back. And now, I'm more than 5 times more likely to use drugs.
Yeah, there's a 1 in a million experience.
I guess that's all I've got to say about that. Where was I? Oh, yeah, needing to get off the island. Remember in school when you were asked, if you were stranded on an island, what would you want with you? I was always the smart kid that said, a boat. Likewise, a friend and I took decisive action to get off Oahu. Where did we go? Another island. That's right, we are off to Molokai, an isolated island 45 miles from Oahu. Molokai's airport isn't especially large, allowing only small aircraft to land there. This in itself was kind of an adventure. Our first views of the island told us that there was absolutely nothing there. Our first stop was the Kalaupapa Overlook, the most popular tourist site, and we were the only ones there. Of course, we also had to make our priorities. The lookout overlooks the Kalaupapa leper colony, an eerie, isolated peninsula of an already isolated island. To brighten our spirits, we headed off to the Phallic Rock. Deciding to take the road west until it ended, we arrived at Papohaku Beach, a 3-mile stretch of sand with nobody on it. We were even able to make the first footprints there. It should be stated, however, that despite its beauty, the wind was blowing very hard and resulted in a lot of sand biting us in the face. So no, even though we were taking our time, we had already pretty much seen half the island in less than 6 hours. With lack of anything better to do, we went to a bar. Molokai can probably be summarized with lots of sitting around, drinking, sitting around, glimpses of nice landscapes, while you're probably sitting around, and you might be drinking at the same time. After the sunset blanketed a grove of palm trees with its warm light, we sat around, of course, and ate plate lunches. And you know, when the sun goes down over Molokai, the real action begins. Paddler's Inn is the only place on the island open after 6, it seems, and it was crowded, for Molokai, I guess. As I sat there drinking, I had to wonder how people could live here. I think I would become an alcoholic for lack of anything better to do. At 10:30 every night, crowds walk down a dark alleyway and place orders to a mysterious woman behind an old wooden door. Within a matter of minutes, the orders are filled. Not drugs, but rather sweetbread from Kanamitsu Bakery. And this is nightlife entertainment on Molokai.
One way to go.
The next morning we headed east as far as the road would go. Without access to a shower, I axed up. It was an extremely narrow and curvy road for 27 miles. Eventually, we reached the end, with views of Halawa Valley. And if you don't have a lot of money on Molokai, that's really about all you can do. So we hopped the next flight and headed back to Oahu. Oh yeah, surfing. That was something I was supposed to do a lot of, right? Well, a lot of variables were working against me. Now, I don't pretend to know a lot about surfing since I haven't really done a whole lot of it in my lifetime, but I do know that when one is out in the lineup, people should yield to those who have already been waiting for a good wave. In Waikiki, this pattern is non-existent, and people are constantly dropping in on each other. That being said, I did try and brave the crowds one morning and did catch a few waves, but I don't have footage from that epic day, so I made this reenactment. You know. But the crowds were a huge turnoff, and since surfboards can't be taken on buses, if I wanted to surf less frequented locations, I would have to be complacent with a much smaller bodyboard. On one day in early March, I was able to experience the famous bonsai pipeline. And it's my understanding that it's a rule that all surf videos featuring pipeline need some sort of driving rock music. Likewise. The waves were pretty good, and if I actually had a respectable board and a better method to catch waves, i.e. maybe some fins, and a bodyboard that wasn't purchased for 20 bucks at ABC, it would have been even better. But I still had a great time. The only time I really ended up in some trouble was when I wiped out in the impact zone. And once you end up there, it's a little hard to get out. You just gotta face one wave after another. So, this was getting me kinda tired, so I just decided to head out. After the sewage disaster and contaminated runoff elsewhere encircled the entire island, the effect was a virtual fence, trapping me from all I had set out to do at the beginning of the semester. With cuts on my feet and a reputation for being accident-prone, I decided to stay out of the water. That decision may have saved my life. It seemed that I would have just one chance to surf when I was on Molokai. It has forever been my dream to ride larger waves. That dream proved to be blinding at Rock Point on Molokai's southeast shore. The current was pulling me west, and I soon decided that catching a wave wasn't everything. Despite the $35 rental fee, it was not worth it to risk my life. I attempted to paddle back in. This was easier said than done, and I noticed large waves were breaking over a shallow reef. Had I actually been riding a wave and wiped out, I could have severely injured myself. Let my stupidity be a lesson to all that if in doubt, don't go out. This is really my only chance to surf while I was on Hawaii, and it might be the last. Although I was shaken and somewhat depressed, I realized that surfing isn't everything. I need to take time and appreciate my many other talents, like being able to outrun a bus, for example. Well, maybe that doesn't say much. But furthermore, I can eliminate an L&L plate lunch in about 3 minutes and 23 seconds. These are skills for a lifetime. The waves can wait. I had been on Hawaii for 4 months, 5 days, 14 hours and 23 minutes when I began my journey back home. I know Hawaii has changed me, and it will be strange going back, but I believe I'm a better person for having experienced it all. I'm ready to leave, but with mixed emotions. Living on an island is very restrictive, and it got lonely sometimes. At the same time, I will greatly miss the new friends I have made, many whom I am leaving behind. It has been an amazing 4 months, a span which I will not soon forget. I certainly succeeded in finding someplace totally different than Washington, D.C., but it's time for me to leave. I have a newfound appreciation for the city I recently left behind, but I will also greatly miss many cultural aspects of Hawaii, mainly the food. These last few months were an adventure I will not soon forget. Aloha, and have a good life.
moment of every day.